People who had considered themselves incels, involuntary celibates, but have since had. How do you feel looking back at your previous self? I suppose I was an incel from 23 to 27 after leaving the military. I was depressed, underweight, socially isolated. I never got fat or super into gaming as is stereotypical. Just worked a lot, hung out with my dog, smoked way too much weed, and just sort of forgot how to interact with women. Which was probably for the best. Most of my relationships prior to 23 were unhealthy at worst, meaningless at best. Ending that era of my life was a long struggle that took concerted effort towards trying to be more positive and social. One big event was buying and learning to ride a motorcycle at 27. Sort of shocked me out of my routine. Opened my eyes to the fact that life was not a downhill slide from the adrenaline-filled days of 18 to 22. That new experiences were waiting to be had. Eventually I met a woman that I just couldn't bear to have the usual flirt until I awkwardly distanced myself experience with. I forced myself to not to my mind wander when we talked. I powered through all anxiety to call and text her daily. I even eventually would do crazy stuff like get dressed up nice and go to dinner with her, not something I could have ever seen myself doing at one point. So I'm married now. Still have some issues, but very happy. So I'd say nothing to me. Just gotta live through it, kid. I used to be the creepy weirdo who, by the time I graduated, had asked every single girl out. I literally had no idea what I was doing wrong. I was practicing all the classic Southern gentleman things that I was supposed to, yet having no luck, think milady. But only slightly less cringy. It wasn't until I got to college and went on a period of self-discovery that I knew the error of my ways. The first, and most important, concept that I learned was that women aren't dispensaries that you deposit nice coins into and get puss in return. They have to choose you. I still kept doing nice things for girls because that's the way I was raised. But I removed my expectations for getting anything in return. The second concept was making myself attractive. And it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. A nice basic buzzcut suddenly turned my oily mop of hair into a clean, presentable style. Went clean shaven on facial hair too. Because all I could grow was a piddly pubic hair looking beard. Got a benzoyl peroxide solution to start working on the acne. Marching band was my form of exercise to stay fit and avoid the freshman 15. It's amazing how the problems we create for ourselves can get in our own way. I remember when I first found the incel community. It was actually a pretty helpful place. It was more of a support group for people who were unattractive, socially awkward, etc. There wasn't any of this nice guy give. Everyone knew why they were involuntarily celibate, and just wanted to vent frustrations and get support. It was really good for my confidence. Then the toxic masculinity started to creep in and took right over. As everyone knows, I fell on the incel line of being not unattractive, but personality-wise, all I did was play video games. I didn't have anything interesting about my life. And so women just weren't interested in me. And I never put myself into situations to meet people. New job with great people. I started to do different things. Played hockey for the first time at 30. Joined the group for a couple of traveling tournaments where we got absolutely Vegas type plastered for weekends in different cities. Job is very much a hangout and chat type job, security. So talking with the women on the team on the regular starts removing the air of mystique I had built around them. Got my motorcycle license, and did a solo trip across the states from Canada to the Mexican border. And back that same year. Started doing Tough Mudders. buying a season pass and traveling to any of the ones I could drive to. Then I got Tinder and just started going on dates. Had a few good, few bad, and then met my wife. All in all, I ultimately blame a World of Warcraft addiction that held me back in my early 20s to my late 20s and just missed out on those socially formative years. Oh God. High school me wore fedoras and believed my superior intellect and science-based social theories were too much for everyone and that I was really a James Bond type with my knowledge of various fields. Turns out I was gay as but so deep in the closet my zip code was in Narnia. Not really that smart in anything but too ADHD to focus past basic knowledge of anything and in a desperate need of a new wardrobe. I was raised by incredibly cruel people. My aunt and grandmother. They had me absolutely convinced that I was very ugly, pathetic, and just a total loser. They even hinted that I'd be better off gay, as if it's a choice. Because I didn't have a shot with women. They also made me feel that as an immigrant I was considered weird and strange and women would consider me less of a catch because I was a foreigner. Since I believed all of that, I had a real resentment toward women and like many young people I protected my pain with anger. Eventually I discovered that I was not ugly at all and in fact was considered quite attractive by many, which I never fully could wrap my head around. And guess what? Turns out women liked guys with exotic accents and viewed my foreignness as interesting and even exciting. I am just glad I realized all of that before I had become too entrenched in my anger or wasted too much time. You know, I don't know if this'll be buried, but I can actually share something valuable here. TLDR. It comes down to a lack of respect and ignorance to self-awareness. I did consider myself mostly an incel. Maybe more of a nice guy. But to my core I believed that girls were only after the chads and douchebags. It was from the ages of 12 to 18. So a lot through my formative years. Here's the mindset. You've never had any awareness of the fact that girls don't indeed chase douchebags. Because that's all you've ever looked for. Whenever you see a pretty girl who says she is in a relationship, you immediately assume that her boyfriend is a terrible person. Though, not because he is much better off with her than any other person. You won't see your own flaws. So you'll assume the worst of the guy. The truth is, it comes down to major insecurity issues and a lack of any male relationships. If you don't have many different male friends, you're going to assume that only the cocky guys get the girls. In reality, they are displaying charisma and confidence. Something that is very attractive. Everyone knows this. It's a lack of awareness. It's easier to say that you yourself are too short, too ugly, too untalented, etc., than to admit that you have a crappy personality with little to no charisma. You won't find a happy. If I could have gone back to myself and say, here's the deal. Girls don't look for one particular thing in a dude. They don't just want a tall dude. Or a wide-jawed dude. They want someone to be comfortable around. They don't want you to praise them as some higher being. They want to be treated with respect. But most importantly, they don't exist to have with you. They don't even exist to be your friend. They don't owe you anything. No one does. Just because you like them doesn't mean they have to like you. Don't try to sleep with girls by being their friend. Be grateful that someone sees any quality in your person for them to want to be around you at all. Be grateful that someone wants to be your friend. You are shallow and you only care about looks. You saying it's about personality is all. That's it. I was a young, angry kid. I'm glad I'm the man I am today. I've had a lot of confidence issues which went away as I grew older. I went through many edgy phases. And it took all of these mistakes to learn them. So I feel empathy for incels because they don't know any better. They don't know just how wrong they are. Because admitting fault and self-improvement takes time and effort. Blaming and hating girls does not. Instead of hating girls, my only wish is that I started on self-improvement sooner. Edit. I am thankful that this struck a chord with a lot of people. Many are asking what self-improvement means in this context. I believe it is subjective. But to me, it meant physical, mental, and emotional. TLDR. Hit the gym. Get hobbies. Make female friends for the sake of friendship. And do real kind things for the sake of goodness and kindness. More specifically, I started going to the gym after YouTubing a lot of which exercises are the most important. A very helpful community like Ask Men is a wonderful community full of great advice. Whenever a post pops up asking how to gain confidence, the top answers are always, hit the gym. For good reason. So I did. I'd have to say that losing upwards of 25 kilograms, 55 pounds, does change your own mental image. Suddenly, you feel like attractivity isn't as unattainable. Plus, you develop discipline and a much healthier lifestyle. That doesn't work for everyone. So I suggest investing time into a physical hobby. Cooking, learning an instrument, hiking, volunteering, dog walking. The list is endless. Seek personal improvement in something. Set goals and strive for them. With mental improvement mostly towards women, it took a lot of self-reflection to get anywhere. It did help that I grew up with 4 sisters. Broke their hearts after being used. Suddenly, wanting to be alpha wasn't as appealing. Having sisters taught me how to behave around girls. But not everyone has that privilege. For that, I heavily recommend Ask Women. It in a way humanizes women, girls, as it gave me perspective on their insight. They're real people with real struggles. 2. Imagine just wanting to exist and to go on about your own thing. And some helpful guy comes along. He's thoughtful and mindful. Might even be a little funny. Then out of nowhere, he wants to spend more time with you. Intimately. However, you are just trying to figure this whole life thing out. And sinking a lot of time and energy into a relationship isn't something you're looking for right now. You don't want to lead him on. So you politely decline his courtship. Too bad. You're a now. Also, you're now too fat for him. And that probably loose anyway from all those douchebags you've been. Instead of those caring, nice guys. Have a dick pic. Carrot. That's a good case scenario. Bad, worst case. They get violent and either stalk you, assault you. These stories are a dime a dozen both on Ask Women and Nice Guys. It also did help tremendously having female friends. The attraction may still be present. But friends you just want to exist with. Hanging out with them. Seeing their struggles made me see that they didn't exist for my benefit. With emotional improvement, this is the toughest that is hard to come back from. You need to be quite mindful and self-aware. I was such an edgy kid. I'm talking dyeing my hair black and straightening it. Creeping people out purely for their reaction. Using a thesaurus wherever possible. Had the girls are chasing tall chads mentality. I think doing good things for people as much as possible helped the most here. Whether it was being a pair of ears to vent to, helping family out with anything, filling in instrument roles for other people's performances in music class. It all taught me what real kindness was. Real kindness does not mean being a basic, civil human being. To me, it means going out of your way to help someone with the expectation of nothing in return. Suddenly, annoying girls by calling them pretty and pure, then getting mad when they don't compliment you back doesn't sound that kind anymore. Nice guys are actually unadjusted children currently incapable of self-reflection, rejection, and growth. All I can say is just focus on you. Don't focus on what you think people want out of you. I'm only 23, so I have a long way to go. Of course. I'm still human. I'm still capable of being an. However, humans are also capable of many selfless acts. Feel empathy and sorry for the incel whose only explanation to their terrible perspective on reality is blamed away on other people. I'm happy to talk to anyone further on self-improvement. My DMs are open.